20. Angels from Other Worlds. Despite the cold, hard floor, Errol wakes up feeling invigorated and refreshed. He thinks he can feel the adrenochrome or whatever building up in his system. It's electric. He glares across the room at the sack of potatoes curled up in the corner. She's still breathing. He focuses, trying to reach out. When the glowing, invisible landscape of the mind doesn't immediately reveal itself, he feels the worry coming on that he might still not be able to access it. Not only that, but the wound of betrayal is still so fresh in his mind that it almost literally hurts to go back to trying to dance through that space like he did before. He feels heavy and sore just thinking about it, but sets his jaw, trying to turn the hurt into anger to fuel the process. That bastard took advantage of him. He feels a tickle. They said they wanted to protect his species, but they want to take this planet just like the greedy assholes who made the Strangeland in the first place. Something is moving out there in the darkness. He tries to reach for it. Dr. Lumen abandoned him. Did she not understand? He can feel it stronger now. A weird little jungle, tired and sad, but still full of indignant little imps and goblins. No, Eliza understood perfectly well. She knew the implications. He can't quite reach. He hadn't had a real friend like that in a long time. Now his sister is in danger. The whole world is in danger. Patricia squeals and almost leaps out of her skin, frantically slapping around like there's a spider in her hair. She wakes up fully and stabs at Errol with wild eyes.
Did you just touch me, you little freak?
Not technically. She snarls dumbly, uncomprehending, and then it hits her. She lowers her voice and leans in.
Can you?
Errol nods, holding a finger up to his lips. He can feel the little creatures in her mind crawling out from under their logs and mushrooms. They begin howling at the moon and prancing around bonfires and sacrificial altars. The girl remains quiet, trying hard not to grin. They begin to prepare themselves. The only way to tell time in this place is by the periodic delivery of meals. Having only just woken up, it's impossible to tell if it's even daylight. The minutes tick by slowly and invisibly. Errol does his best to meditate, trying to reach a state of true awareness of the psychic landscape. Surrounding his and Pat's auras is a sort of deep fog interrupted only seldom by a handful of dim, iron-gray lights, floating this way and that like ghosts of soldiers patrolling the battlefield where they died. Judging by the occasional footstep echoing outside their door, he figures they must be those mass-produced action figures maintaining the cell block. He tries to reach out further to find some other psychic emanations, the relative location of Mr. Euler or the bald guy Dr. Kite, but there's nothing. Probably for the best. After a while, Pat hisses to get his attention. He reluctantly peels himself away from his trance to meet her gaze. She mimes puking and grabbing her head. He frowns and whispers, "You sick?" Her face becomes the blade of a knife as she shushes him.
The car,
she mouths. He shakes his head, uncomprehending. She jams a knuckle between her eyes, praying for patience. Finally, she inhales deeply and mouths,
Remember.
Remember what? Errol hopes the room isn't filled with microscopic cameras. It looks like she mouths,
The women.
Woman? He clarifies. Eliza? Pat shakes her head and aims a finger gun at him.
Weapon.
He does end up realizing she's talking about the sonic weapon they used to incapacitate them in the canyon, but not soon enough. He mouths, You mean the Strangelet? She growls in frustration and leaps at him, trying to wring his throat. He cries out in shock, watching through the back of his mind as all the swirling, glittering trolls and demons prance excitedly through their psychedelic snowflake forest. They've all been waiting for this moment for a very long time. What are you doing? He shouts, terrified that the jig is about to be up just because he was unlucky enough to be stuck in this hole with his psychotic little sister. She flashes him a crazed look that is hard to place. Finally, whether through telepathy or just years of living with her, he catches on. It's the dumbest plan ever, and he expects she just came up with it as her fingers were honestly and earnestly coiling around his throat, but it should work just as well as anything else. He screams, Help! Someone! She's trying to kill me! Footsteps outside come clomping down the corridor toward the commotion. Help! Someone bangs on a metallic door. Shut the hell up in there!
You hear that? Giggles Patricia. They're gonna let me do it.
Their performance is abysmal, and he's drawn back to that fateful moment when they first met Eliza, when this dummy blew their cover by threatening to destroy the entire planet. But apparently whatever super soldier serum created these meatheads wasn't designed to augment intelligence. The heavy latch of the door is unlocked, and a singular bozo walks in. Errol doesn't hesitate. He sinks down into the inky kaleidoscope of his mindscape until he can see the dim glow of the iron golem standing over him. Then he reaches out and jams a glittering tendril into the man's head. The guy dodges it somehow. He lets out a little, "the fuck?" and swats at his cheek. Errol trips over himself and the barrel of a rifle is jammed in his face. Pat is shoved aside and the brute looms over him. "Nice try, asshole," the guard smirks. "You think they let just anyone work in a place like this?" By the tone in the man's voice and the absurdly self-satisfied look on his face, Errol can't help but imagine the guy jacking off to his own reflection in the mirror. Without much thought, he projects the image into the guy's head. Faster than he can realize how stupid of a move that was, the rifle is flipped around and the butt of it cracks into Errol's skull. He sees stars as exquisite agony blends with the sweet feeling of hot, sticky blood on his face. He refocuses and looks up at the man, trying his best to sneak his dizzy tendrils up from behind for another attack, but deep down he knows things are about to get much more dire. They're not going to get out of here alive. Then he sees it. He doesn't even register it at first, sort of like a stray butterfly behind the image of a lion tearing into the belly of a gazelle, but his attention is quickly drawn to it. A funny little mushroom elf dancing on the golem's iron shoulder. He squints at it. It waves and giggles, then lunges at the behemoth and bites it on the neck. The man hollers and slaps at the real-world spot where the make-believe creature attacked. Errol clenches and takes the shot. Up whips one of his psychic fingers, then straight into the man's ear opposite the imp. He squeezes and the man rears the rifle again, ready to crush Errol's nose. The friendly little elf bites down again, harder this time. It tears a chunk of rusted metal off the construct and immediately begins burrowing its way into the hole. First, out come flying symbolic little cogs and springs, then out pops the image of a young woman, and then the man bursts into tears. Errol pulls, imagining how it would feel to pop the guy's eye out. It doesn't gross him out as much as he'd be comfortable with admitting. He pulls harder. A dead childhood dog scrambles out from the elf hole and stumbles around like a reanimated zombie. Gleeful laughter from Patricia's little pet as Errol finally busts through and the man's brains begin trickling out from his nostrils. The meathead collapses to the ground in a puddle of tears and cerebral goop. The Ritters meet each other's gaze, taking only a fraction of a second to register what just happened before digging through the guy's pockets for keys. Errol keeps a third eye fixed on the space around them. The energy doesn't seem to have changed much despite all the screaming and murder. Off in the foggy distance, another of the regimented iron golems is making its way in their direction, but casually and slowly. Pat taps him on the shoulder, jangling a ring of keys.
"Which way?"
she asks. Errol shrugs. "There's no way to tell the layout of this place using my powers." She doesn't cringe at the word.
"Can you, read someone's mind?"
"I doubt it." She pinches the bridge of her nose beneath her glasses.
"What about other prisoners?"
He reaches out. There hadn't been much else floating around in the fog, but now that he's getting back into the groove of it, it does seem like their visibility has a lot to do with physically moving. It's truly strange how murky it is out there, though. He shrugs. "I don't know, maybe? I think there's some kind of suppression field."
"A what?"
"I can't see very clearly."
"Oh, okay."
Without another word, Pat begins walking down the hall toward a nearby door. She finds the appropriate key and swings the creaky door open.
"Are you insane?"
Errol hisses. She ignores him, apparently having found nothing in the cell and moving on toward the next one.
"Stop it, Pat!"
He tries to snatch the keys away from her, but she shoves him back, continuing to unlock the next door.
"This is a prison for good guys, dummy," she says.
The next metal door swings open to reveal something huddled in the corner. Errol grabs his sister by the shoulder and steps in front of her. Whatever it is feels chaotic and weird. He doubts that it's even human. It smells like a putrid fart.
"What is it?"
asks Pat casually, trying to peer over his shoulder. He shakes his head, unable to see in the shadows. He steps back and slowly starts to shut the door before the thing can notice him, but it's too late. The thing leaps out from the shadows and bounds toward them, some freakish hybrid between a monkey and a rotting pile of lichen. It shrieks and throws its weight against the door, sending the humans toppling backwards. A toasty warm puddle forms on the front of Errol's pants as the thing bounds off down the hall in search of freedom. He shoots his sister a horrified look. She shoves him off her.
"Fucking move, stupid!"
"Me stupid?" he howls. "What the hell was that?"
"That," she says, "was a monkey ex machina. Now let's go."
Errol's jaw feels about ready to come loose, dangling from his face, but he decides there's no time to weigh options. He gets up and they hurry down the hall in the opposite direction as their savior. Shouts and screaming come from behind them, followed by gunfire. They continue to run. Pat begins to turn down a side hall, but Errol grabs the gremlin before she can get lost. "Stay left," he commands. She obeys, and they keep running until the hall bends to the right, where Errol can sense another guard several yards down. He reaches out for the enemy, peripherally inviting any of Pat's little demons to join in the offensive. Some sort of lumbering ogre of a sprite awakens before him. It's too hulking and slow to keep up, so it somehow grabs hold of a bundle of Errol's scintillating nerves and hucks it down the hall. He feels a small part of him, somewhere both in his pinky as well as his knee, slap into the guard's golem self like a sticky rubber hand. He squeezes, but the guy manages to slip away, twirling around on his heel back in the physical world to see the Ritters galloping around the corner toward him. He raises his rifle and shouts, "Freeze!" but Errol is able to telepathically shake the weapon loose from his grasp. He squeezes again and the man falls to his knees. Errol knows he has to kill him, but he wishes it wasn't so. He starts to pull his yo-yo of a psychic finger back, tearing at whatever it is that holds the body and soul together, but he's interrupted by a small figure hurtling down the hall, crashing into the guard. The mold monkey howls and begins throwing punches. The man screams as the animal's fingers tear into his flesh, throwing chunks of viscera all over the place like confetti. Errol skids to a halt, but Patricia keeps running. He'd never have guessed the little potato had it in her, but she casually bounds past the flurry of violence on down the hall. Errol swallows and sprints after her. The beast seems totally uninterested in him as he passes. He thinks maybe this really is a prison for good guys after all. After a few more minutes, or maybe half a second, it's impossible to tell, they make their way to a staircase going up. It leads to a wide maintenance hallway lit by buzzing fluorescent lights. They don't stop running until they reach a small door at the end with a single vertical window. On the other side, they can hear people and see some kind of movement. Errol peeks through to see what looks like the ground floor of an office building. Off around a corner, he can see sunlight streaming in through a window. The sight of it makes him want to cry. Pat pushes past him to try and open the door. He grabs her by the arm and flashes her the fiercest look he can muster. "Wait a single goddamn second, please," he barks.
"We're almost out," she whines.
"Almost dead if you keep being insane."
"I saved your life, asshole."
"We need to get our bearings first."
"We need to run."
"Patricia, you dumb bitch, why can't you just listen to me?"
"Me? You're the one being stupid. Let's go already."
She begins to push open the door, but something is on the other side, blocking it. Confused, she peers out the window as a white-haired face slides into view. Euler grins at the two Ritters. He swings open the door, sending Pat stumbling out into the hallway. "She's right, kid," he says. "You really should have kept running."